Well, there we go. Okay. This is co-host Lackey number 2, coming to you with 4-color Eternal Command.
What?
What? Oh man. Grown Ups 2, go watch it. It's a great movie. Anyways, we're starting with lands. Move to the other side. For one of each basic in the colors, 1 plains, 1 mountain, 1 forest, 1 island. Just cause, like, Ghost Quarter, plus, if you want to crack a fetch land, you can just go get a basic. And I play, like, at least a fetch land, like, at least be able to fetch up each type. Even though with all my fetch lands, because that'd be impossible. That'd be awesome, though, if they can get 4. But those are probably mythic fetch lands. But, anyways, 1 of each basic. No real explanation needed, so. 3 Breeding Pool, which is a good dual land. 2 Steam Vents, 2 Hallowed Fountain, 2 Celestial Colonnade, 1 Temple Garden, and then 1 Stomping Ground as our dual lands that we can play. Now, the reason we play, like, 3 Breeding Pools, it's still mostly a green-blue deck, splashing red and white. And then, that's why there's 2 of these. They're both lands that tap for blue. Celestial Colonnade is the best mana land that taps for blue. Most of the time. Creeping Tar Pit's pretty close. Then there's 1 Temple Garden, 1 Stomping Ground. Because they tap for green, and then you're off colors, which is relevant. And you can only fetch so many blue lands. So, especially if you play a Crucible. Really quick. Then play 2 Ghost Quarter as a way to deal with other man lands. Or just troublesome lands. Like someone plays like Mono Green Devotion ramp deck in Modern. The Mono Green whatever, monster. There's Mono Green Machine, which is aggro, but also plays Nykthos. But it blows up Nykthoses, blows up man lands. I can't think of really any other troublesome lands. Blows up other tech. It blows up Tech Edge if you're on 3 lands and you don't want them to blow up your colored sources. So that's pretty good. And then we play 4 Misty Rainforest, 2 Scalding Tarn, and then 1 Arid Maze. The reason we play 7 is I don't like 8. And the reason we play 4 is, again, mostly green-blue, plus that fetches up every dual land in the deck. Scalding Tarn fetches up everything but Temple Garden. And then Arid Mesa fetches up a lot of dual lands, except for Breeding Pools. And that's about it, pretty sure. Yep, everything but Breeding Pools. So, we'll be able to always get green-blue dual lands, while there's 6 fetch lands that can get green or blue. And then 1 that can get the basic plains, like I said, might be relevant. Like some crazy aggressive deck like Zoo, you want to get turn 1 plains if you have other dual lands in your hand. For like, or turn 1 mountain for Lightning Bolt or Path to Exile. Could be relevant. Now, back on to the spells. Play 2 Noxious Revival, which we didn't look up that guy's username yet, but we will plug you somewhere, probably in the next show. Yeah. But that guy's cool, man.
I did.
As I said in the show, I love you, dude. You're awesome.
Pulled it up.
Huh?
I pulled it up.
You pulled it up? Why didn't you tell me what it is?
I forgot, and I told you.
No,
I
you
told
didn't.
you what the name was.
No, you didn't. You never did.
Pause the video.
There we go. Okay, we're back. Dana
Quish, I believe.
Dananguish. Dananguish. Get a more pronounceable name and I'd be able to say it, but I'm sorry. But anyways, thank you for the Noxious Revival idea. There's 2 of those, because that card is really good. And as we did in the video, Gifts Ungiven for the Snapcast or Eternal Witness Noxious Revival. And then pretty much whatever other card you want, and you normally get like Noxious Revival on the card you want, and they'll put Snapcast or Eternal Witness in the graveyard because they're dudes that do the same thing, and there's just more value, so it's pretty good. We'll play 4 Aether Vial again, really good in the creature-based control deck, which is odd to say, but Aether Vial is really good, not just in Merfolk or Green-White, but with control cards, guys.
Yeah.
Take my word for it. That's what I do all day. I've got 3 Lightning Bolt and 3 Path as our main removal suite. Lightning Bolts, if you get aggressive against a control deck, which you normally do, because you're playing, like, if you play turn 1 Aether Vial and you start putting in guys, it's really hard for them to do much against that, because nobody really main decks ways to deal with Aether Vial, at least as far as I know yet. So, and then, like, Lightning Bolts helps you get closer to that endgame, kill blockers, and then Path just kills troublesome creatures like Goyfs or Scavenging Oozes, which is if you don't get Bolt. And then, like, there's really good cards. There's no real explanation needed for Path and Bolt, but 3 Remand. Your battery's dying. Yep. 3 Remand, because that card is so on turn 2. It's usually Time Walk against most decks except Affinity. It's just kind of bad against Affinity, but it's just a good card. It draws you some time, draws you some cards. Really, again, same with 3 Mana Leak. Gets you time. It's a really good counter spell. Usually good late, unless they're playing Control Deck or Tron. But Tron's a bit of a rough matchup game 1 anyways, so. And 3 Snapcaster Mage. There would be more, except 4 colors, you really have to focus on other things. And Snapcaster's just a really good card, but not worth playing 4 when you're trying to do a lot of different things at the same time, especially with 4 colors. Because, like, triple blue is fairly easy to get for cryptic commands, but quadruple blue is a bit rougher to do. So, oh, by the way, I forgot to mention Ghost Quarter instead of Tech Edge. It's because I just got tired of not being able to hit lands. Like, against Tron, not being able to hit their land until they play a 4th land, and they can just keep their Tron lands on 3. Just keep 3 lands. They don't even have to do anything else. They can just play Tron cards and kill you like that. And then Tech Edge is useless. Most people don't. I think that's incorrect of Tron players to do. Hear me out, Tron players. You're wrong. Not just because you're playing Tron, and I hate that deck a lot, but because you're playing your lands out into Tech Edges. But mostly Ghost Quarter just hits those early. Like, you can do it turn 2. Or 1. Probably don't want to do it turn 1 because they don't have any mana. But you could. You could. And then there's 2 Kitchen Finks as another creature. Again, just a really good card. When you're playing a bunch of fetch lands and shock lands as your dual lands, utilize to have life gain, has persist. Really good against control decks, it's an aggressive beater. Just really good. 3 Eternal Witness, normal. Really good card. Acts as pretty much it's a better version of Snapcaster in this deck when you play Ether Vial. Sometimes you hard cast it. It doesn't have flash, which is annoying. But normally, it's normally better than Snapcaster in this deck. It's really good. 1 Sphinx's Revelation, because it does have 3 mana symbols in it, which is, like, again, mostly a green deck, so a lot of these other cards are either, like, 1 mana symbol, or, like, hybrid, or double green, which is fairly easy to cast when most of your dual lands tap for green, like the main ones you usually get. But Sphinx's Revelation is a one-of. Card's really good, still worth playing in Modern. It's a little hard to do as a one-of, but it's really, really good against aggressive decks. Gains you lots of life. Drawing cards is good. And then against control decks, you just get to draw a lot of cards, or they waste their, or you bait out counter spells with it. But still a good card. 1 Fire Spout, 1 Wrath of God is our normal effects. Fire Spout is early for aggressive decks. It's good against most decks. It can hit flyers and ground guys. You can choose which mode. Normally, it doesn't matter for you, but you can hit all the flyers. Like, for some reason, they're playing like tokens and they have all these spirits. You just get hit all their flyers and keep all your ground guys. It's really good. 1 Wrath of God is just a good sweeper. They can't regenerate features, which is affinity with Welding Jar. That gets around that. And it's just a really good card against a lot of decks that aren't like Blue-White Red. It's still alright against Blue-White Red, because they play Angels and Snapcasters, but yeah, it's mostly just good against every other deck you really care about. So, yeah. 2 Cryptic Command, because again, with the Eternal Witness Ether Vial Cryptic Command lock, which is you just get Ether Vial up to 3, you play Cryptic Command, counter their thing, and you put in Eternal Witness, and then you just bounce back Eternal Witness, and then put it in, and then get back Cryptic Command from your graveyard, and you just do that for a long time. Every now and then you just get to 7 lands and hard cast your lock. Normally it's with Ether Vial, it's a lot easier to do. And you still get your lands up for other things, but I've hard cast my lock about 40% of the time, which is really interesting, but it's cool. Cryptic Command is just a good card.
Yeah. Awesome.
Let me get the one with text on the front. There we go. Counter target spell, turn target permanent to your hand, tap all creatures target opponent controls, or just draw a card. So it's just really good value in a control deck, especially one with a fairly tempo early plays, and then just a really good 4-drop. Then we have 2 Hunt Master of the Fells, which I do have 2. One is just MIA, but that card's just really good. He's on the front, says you can read here. He enters, you gain 2 life, you get a wolf. Life gain's really good. Plus you can just Ether Vial him in, and since the werewolf will flip into a 4/4 that deals 2 damage to target opponent, and up to 1 creature they control, so he can, like, you can hit them and like redirect the planeswalkers and then pick off a creature. Like against Jund, when you Ether Vial it in on 4, it's really good, because you, like, they usually play Liliana, which we're not too concerned about with Snapcasters and Eternal Witness, and then like Gifts Ungiven, we have a lot of cards that are good in our graveyard and we can just get value out of. So you just, and Noxious Revival now. Again, thank you, Dan and Goish, something, but so Huntmaster's just really good card against control decks, aggressive decks, mid-range decks. Just solid, especially when Eval, you just put it in, don't even cast a spell, you just pass the turn with counter magic, and it flips, and you just get the value out of it right away. Then we have 2 Gifts Ungiven, because again, with Eternal Witness and now Noxious Revival, the card just tutor for cards. Usually, you get Eternal Witness and Snapcaster in your graveyard, 2 cards of your choice. It's kind of like 4 mana tutor for 2 cards, which is usually really good. Every now and then you just like 2 on lands and you're about to die and it's not relevant. But normally the card is actually just insane. And I'm a fan of it over the other 2 Cryptic commands. Because the main point of the deck is not the Cryptic Lock. It's again like a control deck. The Cryptic Lock is in it. But it's just kind of like a value deck. And Gifts and Given plays into that role really well when you can interact with your graveyard. And then we play 1 Keranos as our 5-drop and our like biggest costing card that's not like Sphinx's Revelation. But Keranos is just really good. If you draw a land, you got to draw an extra card. If you draw a non-land, you just get to throw lightning bolts at people. And he's really good, especially since he almost never comes alive, ever. Like in this version, he might come alive after a really long game. And at that point in time, they probably haven't answered the other things. And if they're waiting for him to come alive to answer him, they're probably dying to whatever's making him alive. But he's just really good against like every deck again. Like against aggressive decks, you just throw bolts at their creatures. Mid-range decks, you just get a draw extra card to throw bolts at their creatures or planeswalkers. Then you can control. It's just you straight up burn their face off. And eventually you're just going to either get more cards than them and get card advantage, or you're going to burn their face off, like I just said. So that's 4-color Eternal Command. Really good deck. I like it a lot. If you're unlucky, I do not recommend a deck that's more than 2 colors. Or Tron. If you're not lucky, don't play Tron. That deck is a luck-based deck, no matter what anyone says ever. It does take skill, but you need a lot of luck too. Because if you just whiff on your draws, and you don't get Expedition Map, then you probably die to a lot of decks, because you don't have Tron. You're just trying to hardcast all these 6 and 7 drops. But, I digress. 4-color Eternal Command will be back in a moment for the sideboard. Thank you for watching!
This hand is sketchy.
Welcome back to the sideboard for 4-color Eternal Command and another episode of MTG Steam Brewery. Wow, this is fuzzy real quick. Let me fix that. There we go. No, not yet. There we go. Okay. Start out with 2 Relic of Progenitus. Really good card. Can hit their graveyards, and if you need to, like against Storm or whatever deck when they pass in Flames, or against like some kind of Reanimator deck, you can just hit everything for 1 mana and just draw a card off it. It just cycles itself, or it does more like it makes Gorse bad. Like it's kind of hard to keep Gorse down whenever you want your graveyard, but it's really good just against a lot of decks. Not main deckable, but it's really good in the sideboard. So 2 Back to Nature. This is very exclusively for Boggles. And you can bring it in against Storm. I normally do over Remand for Pyromancer Ascension. Just because, like, usually Remand's awful. Like, I might keep Remand in over Mana Leak, but, like, usually I take out the removal first, and there's only X amount of cards I can actually bring in against Storm. But Back Nature's just good against X amount of decks. Like, it's alright against tokens. You gotta blow up their anthems. It's alright. I don't know what other decks, like, aside from Boggles, like, Boggles, Storm, and tokens. Like, I can't think of many decks. Aside from maybe the mono blue extra turns decks that plays Dictative Crucifix. But man, it's just a decent card, destroys all enchantments. You don't really play enchantments in the deck, so you don't really care. It's going to blow up everything you want. 1 Ancient Grudge is very exclusively, again, for affinity. You can bring it in against Tron. It's good on turn 2. You can blow up like their Search or the Chromatic Stars or whatever. Or make them use it on your turn. Which is really good if you can falter what they're doing, and then like Ghost Quarter or like Cryptic Command bound to their lands. Like get there and have Ether Vial to put in your dude so you can hit them in the face. That can get you there. Ancient Grudge is mostly for affinity because it's again a rough matchup after during game 1. You have X amount of removal, but you have to be able to get there and keep alive long enough. Then we got 1 Anger the Gods. This is really good against aggressive decks. And then again affinity. It's alright against Boggles if you're on the play and you counter like their Totem Armor effect and you keep it below 3 toughness. Or like at least 3 toughness. Because then you get a Wrath the board. But Anger the Gods is just alright against a lot of aggressive decks. Good against Zoo. Good against Affinity. It's alright against Boggles. But, Fiery Justice is a really good card. It's good against Splinter Twin. Because it's just like, as you see 9 colors, they gain 5 life. But you deal 5 damage provided you choose among any number of target creatures and or players. Kills every creature in Storm. I mean, not Storm. Splinter Twin. Blue-Red Twin. It's good against any aggressive deck. Really good against Affinity, because a lot of the guys have usually 1 toughness, except for Ornithopter or Edge Champion, but you can't really kill an Edge Champion anyways without Wrath of God or like a Day of Judgment effect. So, Fire Justice is a really good card after game 1 against a lot of aggressive decks. It's just 3 mana, like, usually kill 2 creatures, maybe even 3. Picks off Planeswalkers fairly easily, bringing in against Jund too, because all the guys, except Goyf, just like die to this thing because they just burn to ash. Really good card. I play one Vidalcan Shackles because, as you saw in the main deck, almost every dual land you want to fetch up, except for Temple Garden and Stomping Ground, is an island. So that's really, like, in the other version, I didn't play as many islands. Like, you could only play, like, 4 Breeding Pool. Like, in Rug, 3 Steam Vents. In Bant, 3 Hallowfountain. Then you had to focus on your other dual lands as well. And your man lands and, like, check lands. So you can actually have the mana on tap. This version, because it is 4 colors, you do play a lot of, like, fetch lands that are, like, just get islands. So Vidalcan Shackles is a lot better in this version. Surprisingly, I was really shocked at that, but just a lot better in this version against aggressive decks. And like, you do bring in against Jund. You get to take their Goyfs or like Scavenging Ooze because that card's annoying. You can use their Scavenging Ooze if you take it with Shackles. But like, it's just a really good card. Bring it against Affinity, pretty much any aggressive deck and Jund. Bring it against Splinter Twin because you get to take their stuff. Like if they try to enchant it, then you just take it. Like, I don't know why they'd play into that, but that'd be pretty funny. But like they just goof for a second. We've got one Eidolon of Rhetoric. This is very specifically for Storm, or like if you want to try and like win a counter war like against your opponent on their turn, you just like put Ether Violet in, counter their spell, and then they can't do anything, and then you get to untap and then you lose counter wars, but Ether Vial just like lets you put in free spells anyways, so it's all right. We got one Crucible of Worlds. This is for Tron matchups and Control matchups and Jund with Ghost Quarter. And again, against, like, as you saw in, like, our Versus video, against Control decks, you can just play it turn 3 with fetch lands, and you just filter out so much of your draw that you're drawing all action, and you drown them in card advantage. Like, even when you're being beat down with, like, 4 Lingering Souls token and Snapcaster Mage.
For example. I mean, not that you know,
not anything specific.
Anything. I mean, you know.
Yeah, like, you just, like, you're going to filter out your draws. You're going to draw something. So, every now and then it's a Hunt Master, Wrath of God, Anger of God, I don't know. Just really good cards. Crucible is just a good solid card. I'm probably going to try and main deck one in Esper Gifts, but it's alright. We got one Day of Judgment. This is like another Wrath effect aside from Anger of the Gods. Excuse me.
Coffee.
Oh, coffee. Yeah, and then as the 4th Wrath effect after game 2, if you want to bring it in against, again, aggressive decks or Jund, like, you just give some given, now you can grab 4 Wrath cards and just, like, what are they going to do? Not play around, like, play one guy? It's kind of bad for them, like, if you just get, like, 4 Wraths. Plus your deck lists, like, Snapcasters and Eternal Witness, you basically can just, like, get your Wraths back. So, it's really good. They got one Ajani Vengeance against, like, pretty much every deck except combo decks. He's really good. Against aggressive decks, he helixes things. Against control decks, he taps the lands. His ultimate kills them. Normally, if you need life, you helix, but it doesn't normally happen unless you're playing against Esper Control with a lot of Lingering Souls tokens. He keeps other like when they play Manland, you play your turn, you play Johnny Vengeance, tap down their Manland. That's pretty good against a lot of decks. So, you got one Mindbreak Trap. This is again for another Storm matchup, or again in Counter Wars versus control decks. Like, there was this one time at FM with Josh. We're in a counter where I Ether Violent Eternal Witness, so he's like just some unsummon effect or whatever. Like, I get back Bolt, try to bolt him, and then like, okay, like Snapcaster Counterspell. He's like Counterspell. So I'm like Spell Pierce. He's like, he has like 1 mana. He's like Spell Pierce, and then I'm like Mindbreak Trap. Exile your stack, except for the Remand target, and then I just crushed him because it was pretty cool. It was just a blowout. Like Mindbreak, nobody ever expects Mindbreak Trap. It's like nobody ever expects Pact of Negation, which unfortunately we're not sideboarding, because if you packed your deck like without Ether Vial, you can't really afford to tap out 5 lands because you need to be able to react instead of just like tapping yourself out at your next turn, which is fine in certain decks, but not like the 4-color Eternal Command. But it's all right. We got one Glenalandra Archmage. It's a creature, which is really good with Ether Vial. Has Persist, and you can either just cast it. Normally, Ether Vial up to 4, like to get Hunt Masters in. You can just put this in too, counter their things. Like it's just 2 blue, counter 2 spells usually. And against like aggressive decks, it's a good blocker. Against like not Zoo, like against Affinity, it's really good. It counters their like late Thought Cast or Cranial Platings or whatever else they might have. Gal Blast if they keep it in against you. And it has Persist, so it does that, and it still blocks you. Or it blocks and then counters a spell. Like either way, it's just a really good card against Affinity and control decks. And they got one Batterskull, which is really gorgeous in foil. And it's awesome. But this card's really good against pretty much every deck, again, except combo decks. And you have to be aware of combo decks.
Yep.
Because you can't just, like, not hedge against them in your main deck, which is why there's like 6 counter spells and like cryptic commands, and then like certain creatures. But Batterskull again is not really good against a combo deck, except maybe Twin, because like Twin usually takes out 2 Splinter Twins against control decks, right?
2 to 3.
2 to 3.
Sometimes all 4, but not normally.
Yeah, sometimes all 4.
They're normally keeping 1.
Yeah, normally taking 1 and then keep like bringing Kairos. So after game 1, if you're a really like control deck, like this deck is really controlling game 1 when it needs to be. So like they'll probably take out most of their Splinter Twins and just go on the Temple plan and with Keranos, Window and Click, and like 1 Splinter Twin. And then Batterskull is just really good then. But game 1, when they're playing the Splinter Twin deck or Storm, it's just really bad. So you don't want it in the main deck just because of those combo decks. But it's really good against every other deck in the format. Against control, if you resolve it, it's just a 4/4 that you can bounce your hand and replay if you need. Against Jund, it's really hard to kill. Like the token they can just kill, but again, you just bounce it back and play it. And against aggressive decks, Affinity or Boggle, like it's alright against Boggles if you can keep their creatures down. But against Affinity and like Zoo, this card's near unbeatable for them, unless they have, like, Infect. If you're playing against Infect, though, you're probably dead anyways.
Fair enough. Because
that deck is just really annoying. And unless you have a lot of removal, their stuff is just going to stop you from actually doing anything. But, like, so that's the sideboard. I like it a lot. It'll probably need more tuning. There's a lot of one-ofs, as you see. Like, with Gifts Ungiven, you can play a certain amount of one-ofs. Like, and certain cards you don't want to take up too much spots of your sideboard. Like, Batterskull is good and all, but again, it's a 5-drop, which is really relevant in Modern. Because those crucial turns are turn 1 to 4. And that's usually the deciding turns about who wins the game. So, there's the sideboard for 4-color Eternal Command. Hope you liked it. And hope you keep watching our channel. Man, I'm just getting sidetracked, Josh. It's like MC sidetracked easily. So go visit Jean Lazois. And what is it? Yeah. Got all the way around there. And shout out, where is it? GameSource.com. Here's their number. Visit them. They're really cool people. Gave us good deals. Got to sell off a lot of bulk. And then, like, other
standard stuff that they...
Bulk, and then, like, some standard stuff.
When a store has a bunch of big stuff,
got, like, $60. Helped me get, like, my 3 fetch lands. Like, they have lower price stuff than Star City. Like, a foil pack.
Everyone has lower price stuff than Star City.
I know.
I mean, the good part of Star City is that you're always going to get your cards, and you're always going to get them in good condition.
Yeah, and they always have, like, the same price.
Unless you order them during the front
like,
door weekend.
No offense to TCG, but, like, the high and the low depends what the mid price is. Like, someone can, like buy up all of, like, I don't know, a Back to Nature, and then, like, raise the price they want on TCG Player to, like, $100 for whatever reason. And that will affect the mid price, no matter what. Which is annoying. It doesn't happen a lot, and they normally keep good track of that. But Star City has a good, like, price ratio for trading. Like, I usually use it for trading. I don't really order from Star City that much. Mostly because I don't have a lot of spare income. I usually trade for my cards. Or trade with Josh, and then he trades me the cards that I want. And then, like, this, although GameSource.com, they have a really good price. Like, I got my 3 fetch lands and a foil pack negation for, like, $110 bucks.
For a deck tech.
I know, right? It's like $110 though. It's like 30 for each fetch land, and then 25. It was like 34 for Marsh Flats, but then like 25 for the foil pack. It was a really good price. They're a really good store. I like them a lot. So go to this place, give them a shout out. There's no deals if you say that we sent you. They don't know us that much.
Fair enough.
Maybe one day though. Maybe we'll get sponsored. Yeah, never know. Probably not. But so see you guys later. Again, since we didn't tell you in the Versus video, make sure you send all your hate mail to Josh.
Woo!
On like Pearsall's blog at Pearsall's blog on Twitter, right?
Yep.
And then he has a WordPress.com at Pearsall's blog. And then like at Pearsall's blog at Yahoo.com or something like that, right?
For everything.
You don't have an email yet?
Pearsallblog@yahoo.com.
Pearsallblog@yahoo.com. Yeah, I was right. Okay, yeah. Send all your hate mail, hate tweets, comment on his WordPress.
Deal.
You write for MTG Bro Deals?
Yeah.
Go spam his comment box with hate. Just like pictures of being hateful even. Just so much hate that he just kind of wants to quit. But don't make him quit, because I need another co-host.
That's going to be really hard to make me quit, guys.
Yeah.
Give me your best shot.
Hit him with your best shot? Yeah. Okay. Hit him with your best shot. Usually guns. Especially guns.
I feel like they left already.
Okay. Maybe. Bye, guys!